Good day, Ruskin enjoyers. I hope you're doing alright, because it's time for the 48 analysis. Yes, as you can see right here, it's the 28th of October, and just 2 days ago we had Halloween Week 2 for 2023, which you can see right here in front of you. But more specifically, this is the first 24 hours of sales, because every single week on Twitter, I'll take a screenshot from SCMM after, the first 24 hours of sales for a brand new Rust store, and I'll post it on Twitter for everybody to see. This is to help you out, get a good idea in regards to, are the skins doing alright? Are they selling enough? Is there enough momentum there? But also, you could make some comparisons to previous weeks. For example, this is week 2. Let's go take a look at week 1. And of course, you should remember from last week, we already seen this. But more specifically, take note that 5 skins right here, they had bare minimum 10,000 plus sales after the first 24 hours of sales. You take a look over here with the current, the current Rust store, and what you can see here is only one skin has over 10,000 plus sales. So you might start considering, oh no, what's happened? Has something gone wrong? Maybe, just maybe, a lot of money was thrown towards week 1. You shouldn't be too surprised by that. There's some very interesting skins that came out, if you can remember. So, once that reached to the point of last Thursday, we had quite a few skins here that very easily went above 20,000 sales and even 30,000 plus sales. So, very nice to see, especially when you compare it to the sales that we've seen over the past 2 or so months. Autumn-fall seasonal dip has been fairly awkward for a lot of us, but to see that many sales in the end was very interesting. So, instead of fussing about these first 24 hours of sales, why not hop over and take a look at the likes of the 48 hours of sales right now. So as you can see right here, the Spell Gadget Door has 15,000 plus bare minimum sales. Scarecrow Tier 3, 14,000 plus bare minimum sales for the face mask, 13,000 plus for the chest plate, and then with the likes of the Sinister Armored Door right here, just under 11,000 bare minimum sales. But if you can remember last week, I have a little point here. You can see that we had quite a fair bit more. There was a lot more momentum for the first week. So what might be the reason for this? Again, maybe a lot of people very eager for some very cool looking spooky skins. Now that week 2 has rolled in, well, everybody kind of spent some money. Maybe they're not just as eager. But we should also be aware that there's 16 skins for week 2, and last week there was 11. So maybe the money's a bit more spread about. We'll accept that, I'm sure. So don't be too fussed too much, because to be honest, it's a Halloween skin. And we have to quickly go over the whole point in regards to holiday theme skins. They are not exactly the best investments to make, but you can still make some pretty good buy orders, and you can still make some pretty good profits out of all of this. But let's learn from last year. Let's understand how things behaved last year, so you can incorporate that and be a lot more wiser in approaching all of this. So, when we look at last year's Rust stores, we had 1 and 2 Rust stores, didn't we, if you can remember? I picked out some random skins, and I just want to kind of help you visualize what's likely going to happen with all of these Halloween skins, because once Halloween is over, which, over the course of the next few days, that's going to happen, people probably won't care too much for these skins anymore. They're out of season. They're very likely going to lose value, because people would rather sell them, wouldn't they? Now, if we look at this skin that came out last year, we can look how it reacted after Halloween. And as you can see, not too surprising, Halloween's over, it reaches a low point at some point in November right here. But Halloween skins do still ride the post-Christmas momentum. So as you can see here, it kept rising, and it peaks right here at about $3 in the middle of January for 2023. And if you look at all of the sales over the past year, it hasn't really reached that point ever again. And a very good reason for that is based on the fact that we saw a lot of locker skins being accepted in 2023, and a lot of them were also given away for free as well. So, not too surprising there. Let's go take a look at the likes of this Slime Monster SAR, a very spooky looking skin right there. Right now it's selling for $1.70. But how did it perform? Literally as Halloween finished last year. And as you can see, it's basically the exact same thing. Literally after Halloween is over, it goes down, 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 reaches a low point in November, but after that, post-Christmas momentum takes place, and it rose up, and it reached to a point of about $2.50-ish, just under $3, and essentially, it never really reached up to that point again. Yeah, some got a fair bit close, but it never actually got to that point again. So, you should probably understand now, expect most Halloween skins to dip down in price, reach a low point at some point in November, but still pick up and do very nicely at some point in January or February. But you have to be aware that the vast majority of the skins are likely going to peak in price during January or February and never reach that point ever again. And as we look over here with the Scarecrow Rock, very nice, very scary. But if you look over to here, exact same scenario. As you can see, dips down pretty hard, rises back up by January time, reaches $3, but it never reached $3 ever again. Maybe it might happen again for January 2024. We shall see, but it probably won't. It probably will have to take quite a long time for that to happen. Then again, how many orders do we have? Well, maybe. It's not exactly a ton of resistance there. But the main point is, with all of these brand new Halloween skins, and of course last week's ones as well, you're very likely going to be seeing most of them go down in price in November, but then go back up in price by January time. So if you've done a buy order, or if you've made a purchase, start making a consideration in regards to what you want to do. But I'm sure of at least the week 1 skins, maybe you've just stuck with a buy order. We went through that whole process. But for everyone right now, looking at all of these skins for the week 2 batch, please take that into consideration. I wouldn't be surprised if all of these potentially end up in the negative. Wouldn't be surprising at all. But then you will probably see quite a lot of them in the positive by January time. So I'm sure that's in your head now. I'm sure you understand. So let's just close this. Let's just close this. And let's now properly focus all of these skins and get a good idea if they're holding up and what might the future behold, what might the future behold. So, shall we begin? Let's start talking about the likes of Spell Garage Door. So, the main point for this skin was I'm pretty sure it's going to do pretty okay, purely based on the fact that Cute Witch, yep, she's got 4 eyes to keep her eyes on you. But, yeah, I think she'll probably hold her value. I think it probably might do a decent job in retaining the value, but I do still expect it to go below its rush store price during November. So please remember, the skin creator for this, Hewok, if you look over to their previous skins, they've been doing quite a lot of very cute garage doors. One of them was accepted for Valentine's this year. We didn't get the Easter one, unfortunately. We know we're getting a Christmas one. It was asked. It was responded to. We're definitely getting a Christmas one. So maybe we might have a little collection of cute holiday seasons. We shall see. We shall see. But when you look at the likes of that Valentine skin, I made a big fuss about this during my predictions video. This hasn't really suffered too badly this year. It's actually done a very good job in retaining its value. Now, Valentine's, it's not exactly like a massive holiday. You could look at that randomly and you probably wouldn't instantly think it's a Valentine skin, if that makes sense to you. So, when you look at its sales history, yeah, it's held up pretty nicely. This was a $3 skin that did over 30,000 sales, and it still did perfectly fine. Alright? This was reaching up to about $4 during the summer. It did go down like many skins, and now it's starting to pick back up again. Ooh. So, if this did alright, could you potentially see something like this doing alright as well? This feels a little bit more gimmicky towards Halloween, or more specifically, I should say, it's more gimmicky towards its holiday. But maybe things might still hold up all right. Maybe her mesmerising, cute looks will keep people enticed to keep buying it. We should also take into consideration how much might this sell, because 2 days in, 15,000 sales. Well, if you were to look at the likes of the skins from the previous week, we saw the likes of this Cocoon Furnace having about 16,000 bare minimum sales, didn't we, last week? Well, that reached up to about 30,000 sales. So there's a... yeah, I meant to click that. There's a fairly decent chance this might get close to about 30,000 sales in total, much like the previous garage door. So I'm going to sit here and say, I get the feeling it will be suffering, as I have basically said already. We should expect that this is going to dip in November. So with it being an abnormal skin, also this is $4, all right? This is $4 and it still did that many sales. I do expect it to probably dip down to maybe $2.50 to $3, but then January time, when loads of people return to play the game, which hopefully will be a lot, we should expect maybe a lot of sales and should hold up very nicely. But again, with it being very gimmicky towards a holiday, which only comes once a year, then yeah, maybe this might not do as good as the Valentine's one. Or as time goes on, you know, when we see the Christmas one come out and potentially been accepted, maybe they are a nice little trifecta and then everybody wants to have the full collection of them. We shall see. It's very goofy. But you just love to simp for cute girls, don't you? So, yeah, this is abnormal. I'm not going to rush into buying it. I'm going to wait until Wednesday, get a good look at the amount of sales, and then start considering prices from there. But that whole speech I had at the very beginning, you have to keep that in mind, all right? Cool. Okay, so there was quite a big fuss about Scarecrow, and in fact, I didn't have this image nice and prepared, so I'm just going to quickly find this real quickly. Someone in my server made a good point that Hedge you know how we talked about this is probably going to be some very good Desert Raiders budget set. Well, here it's being utilised with the likes of military hoodie and pants, and yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Now, again, Desert Raiders, it's pretty expensive. Military, it's not as expensive, but it's still fairly pricey. So let's just quickly remind ourselves. Military collection, earlier this year, we had hoodie and pants come out for complete the sets that randomly appeared for the likes of Maytime, wasn't it? And the hoodie and pants sold a ridiculous amount in comparison to the other core pieces. So right now it's suffering pretty badly. But yeah, even military tier 3 is somewhat pricey. $3 here, $4 here. Post Christmas time, maybe both of these sell for about $5 each. So that costs about $10. Well, you know what? You know what? For $2, I can wear this instead. And you know what? Maybe that will work out very nicely because of that. But 2 days in, 14,000 bare minimum sales, 13,000 bare minimum sales. This is both likely going to be doing about 20,000 sales. Now, we should also point out, people were asking, hey, Lysane, are you going to try and turn this into a collection after Halloween? And it kind of sounds like it's in his head. Maybe. But I can just quickly confirm, on the workshop, I haven't actually seen any new skins being posted for the new week. There's this here. I'll talk about that in a bit, don't you worry. But yeah, we have to wait and see tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, to see what Lysane does next. Clearly there's interest. But will that follow up? Will that be possible? Who knows? We shall see. It's not like other skin creators in the past haven't tried this. They had a Halloween skin accepted. They tried to, continue it. Most instances, it didn't work out. So, Scarecrow, get a good look at that. Do you like the design? Are you a fan of it? Do you reckon that's going to hold up very nicely in the future, based on the very cool looking face mask, for example? This is selling a whole lot more for a reason. I wonder why. Look at his smile, so happy. So yeah, maybe people will appreciate this outside of Halloween regardless. We'll have to keep an eye out, but by default I expect it's more likely that we won't see any more Scarecrow stuff until next Halloween for 2024. So in terms of hoping for new core pieces, awkward, but again, I am fairly confident people will be utilising this as a budget desert camouflage set, and all it takes is one TikTok video to make all the difference. That was a very big trend throughout all of the past year. Many people putting out videos saying, here's a very cheap, affordable budget set for all of these different environments and whatnot, and yeah. Wouldn't be surprised if that's now going to be incorporated into another future video. We shall see. So there's clearly interest. With far too many sales potentially, that very likely will be a damper on the likes of its price. Would it, by default, being a Halloween skin, came out during Halloween, will it go down in price November time? I guess I'm still going to have to accept that, wouldn't I? So, yeah, again, this isn't abnormal, unfortunately. We should probably still wait until Wednesday, get a good idea of how many sales we're going to end up at, and then talk about what prices we might want to offer. Or, maybe it's perfectly fine to just jump in and buy some. But I'm still leaning towards I'd prefer to stick with doing a buy order. I do still think it's going to go below its store price in November. So, that's fine. It is what it is. I've talked enough about it. So let's start talking about this armored door right here. So we haven't had that many armored doors this year. I mean, we had 5. You might sit there and say, that sounds like quite a lot. Well, you look at the previous year. But this was a very weird thing that happened last year, because when you look at all the previous years before that, we used to hardly ever see armored door skins. And because of that, quite a lot of these were quite expensive. And then we see a whole bunch of them being accepted. And now, yeah, a lot of armored door skins are suffering because of that. And unfortunately, when you look at the ones that came out this year, they're also suffering. It sucks, because quite a lot of them have very cool looking designs. But anyway, we had to look at this, and we have to take into consideration, does this scream Halloween to you? Like, you take a look at that, do you instantly think of Halloween when you look at this skin? For some strange reason, I can't seem to click that. There you go. Can you show up? Thank you. Yeah, it's got a skull in it. It's got a very eerie, yellowy red background, but do you look at that and instantly think, yeah, that's Halloween themed? I don't really think so. If there's a big pumpkin in the middle, yeah, for 100%. Cobweb probably is going to push and help the likes of people thinking it's Halloween. And yes, it is Halloween, but like some skins you could look at and say, you know what, I could use that during the year. Wouldn't really look out of season or anything. So, cool looking glow-in-the-dark skin made by Smoothie. But when you looked at all of those other Armored Door skins, you probably realise, yeah, this is still a fair bit awkward, and technically speaking, yes, it's a Halloween skin, Hedge, so I have to accept that this will be very likely going down in price by November time. Middle of November, almost the end of November, that's probably going to be the point where it reaches its lowest point. So, yeah, with this being abnormal, I can wait till Wednesday. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it goes below its rust-or price. It's selling nicely, it's just, even then, they will go down. You know, first week for Halloween in 2022, tons of sales. About 2 weeks after that, they're all in the negative. So don't be surprised, all right? Please be aware. I'm experienced with dealing with this. All right, so very cool looking skin, but you very likely could get that for cheaper if you just wait it out a fair bit. Doomgate sheet metal door. So we had 2 sheet metal doors this week, didn't we? Doomgate looks very cool. I think a lot of people would be appreciating this. The glow-in-the-dark looks ever so eerie and quite scary. But you have to consider this. Would something like this be super appealing throughout all of this year? I can look at a skin like this and I can kind of sit here and say, you know what? That could have come out at some point in June or July and people probably wouldn't have batted an eye. They probably would have looked at that and said, yeah, I can't really... Is that a Halloween skin? Well, you can sit there and say it's eerie, so it could, you know, work for it. And, of course, it is actually a Halloween skin. But I think that could do quite all right after all of this. But we also have to take into consideration the amount of sheet metal door skins we've had accepted this year. Because when you take a look at all of them, you can notice a bit of an awkward trend. And what might the trend be? Yeah, they're not doing very well. They are not doing very well because we have far too many options available to us. There are around 193 sheet metal doors that currently exist. I don't think that includes all the Twitch drops and free skins that we've had. So, yeah. If by default you look at all of these and you notice the vast majority of them are down by at least half in price, you're probably not super optimistic for the likes of this. Also pointing out at the very beginning of this video, talking about Halloween skins and how likely they are going to dip in price by November time or whatnot. Yeah, Doomgate is looking like it's going to be in a bit of trouble. So I am probably just going to stick with doing a barter on this, and I'm probably going to bid fairly low because, yeah, it's done 10,000 bare minimum sales at the moment. Might reach 20,000, does look cool, but I have to keep an eye on what everybody else is likely going to behave like with the likes of this, and yeah, I don't think it will be retaining its value. $3.49 by the way, but even then still did 10,000 sales, so yeah, people like it, but people probably might get a little bit too scared and instantly dump it. I'm having to play extra cautious. You know how it's been over the past few months. It hasn't been a fun time with rust skins. Although technically, we appear to be past the worst of it now. And I'll talk more about that in a second. But yeah, with the likes of this, I just can't trust sheet metal doors at the moment. So yeah, I will be just sticking with the abnormal buy order. And we'll talk about what prices we might want to offer on Wednesday. And don't forget, with abnormals, they're now going to be 1 hour earlier. Tonight in the UK, clocks are going to change. And from now on, for the next 6 months, abnormal skins will be appearing 1 hour earlier. It's going to be midnight in the UK time. Alright, cool. Pumpkin Exhibition. Perfectly fine skin for Halloween. Probably not a perfectly fine skin for the rest of the year. It's going to be out of season, isn't it? It's got pumpkins all over it. Very nice and spooky skin. Congratulations to you, Delarai, for getting this accepted. Congratulations with all the sales that you've had. However, I can just instantly assume that this is going to be halving in price. Number 1, it's an AK47, so yeah, that's unfortunate because there's far too many to pick from. Oh no, oh no. And as you look at all the ones that came out this year, you can clearly see the vast majority of them do not hold up very nicely. And if you look even a little bit more closer, you can see a lot of them are below $1 at the moment. So with this being an AK and heavily themed towards the likes of the holiday that it came out for, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this goes below $1. It is what it is. It's the gun itself more rather than the skin, but the skin itself is also super holiday themed. Anyway, yeah, 70 cents, 90 cent barders are the most likely outcome. I'm sorry to say it, but I have to look at this from a financial perspective and point out issues in which things might not potentially be the best of investments. Sorry, did I lie, but yeah, I'm sure you understand. And then we had to talk about the likes of the Bonelord L96, Fuff's first ever skin to be accepted. Congratulations, but again, it's an awkward situation where how often are you even using an L96? Judging by the prices of skins, not everybody seems to be clamoring to buy them. And that's probably because not everybody has the skill to be able to acquire the L96 rather frequently. I'm just being silly. But yeah, if people got it a lot, maybe this would be getting a lot more demand for all of its skins. Because when you look at most of them, they're very down bad. They're really down bad. A lot of them are down by around half. Quite a decent amount of these L96 skins are selling for below and around $1. So, yeah, I look at this and I say, perfectly cool skin for Halloween. Congratulations on your first ever skin to be accepted. But I'm looking at that and thinking, yeah, that's going to probably go down to around $1 and maybe even less. With the financial perspective, I declare 70 cent to 90 cent by order. Sorry, but yeah. Dracula Furnace. So, yeah, I've made a bit of a joke talking about this. I'm not sure if it's gotten around yet, but that happens to look like something else, alright? And I've laughed it over with my chat a whole bunch ever since I first saw this being submitted. And if only it had a ring on the finger, if you know what I mean. But anyway, I just still don't think it's going to retain its value. It's not like the furnace from the previous week, but maybe the joke of it, if you know what it is, if you can tell, maybe that might give it a little bit of a notoriety, and maybe people want to buy it after that. We shall see. But by default, looking at just that, I don't think it's going to hold its value. Very, Halloween-y themed. Just a regular, normal type of furnace in terms of the interior and whatnot. It's very likely going to end up like many of the other furnaces that came out this year. Not good. Not good, unfortunately. Whereas the likes of the Abyss Furnace and the Spider Cocoon are probably going to have a nice future ahead of them because people like colourful interiors. I know it sounds very silly, but it's a trend that's very noticeable. So, with that, I don't think I'll be doing anything other than a buy order on that, and it might not even be that high of a buy order, but I probably have to buy one personally because of the joke, so my chat will force me to. Anyway, let's now take a look at the likes of the ghostly sheet metal door, and you know what, based on everything I just said over here, we could also add the fact that this is quite clearly a ghost-themed door, and I guess you can sit there and say it's a little bit more Halloween-themed and gimmicked. But I'll be honest with you, you could probably just sit there and say, oh no, it's just the scream, from the picture and whatnot. I mean, the fake glow, I like that. I do appreciate that. That's actually pretty cool there, Kavahu. But it's sheet metal doors. And how many sheet metal doors have we had come out this year that sold for $2.49? Quite a lot. And let's go take a look at all of them. Because there was actually a bit of a funny trend where we kept seeing so many of them over the course of 2 months. Right, so we had the likes of Punt Jack, we had the likes of UAP Pilot Door, we had Modern Military Door, we had Adobe Decorative Door, we had Capybara Door, we had Infernal Door, we had Sunken Door, all of them $2.49. Now this is 57 cents, 80 cents, $1.24, $1.07, 89 cents, $1.30, and $1.06. And we knew this was going to happen. We foresaw it. And it happened. So, yeah, I'm sorry to say, but that very likely will be following that trend. But I could see this probably getting a bit of traction. I like the design of it. I think a lot of other people will do as well. I like the faint glow. I think that might be something worth keeping an eye out for. You know what? Both of these doors, I can see quite a lot of people appreciating them. I think with a whole bunch of these sheet metal doors that came out this year, I think a lot of them will be going up in price very nicely during post-Christmas, and then probably just kind of sit around those prices forever, from there on, because a lot of people recently have been unloading all of their stock because they just don't trust Ruskins at the moment, but don't worry, it's a routine thing. We've talked about this all the time. Autumn, fall, seasonal dip. Suddenly they might care about these skins all over again, and suddenly the prices go back to normal, and prices are looking a whole lot better. Just keep an eye on it, but sheet metal doors, there is an abundance of them in circulation, so if there's so many options to pick from, this has to stand out extra nicely for people to care. And usually, if it's part of a collection, that helps give it a boost, but you're not going to be seeing any more of these skins being made in the collection for at least a year. So, for now, Abnormal, I'll take my time. I'll look at it Wednesday, take into consideration what prices I might want to offer, and you get the idea. Cool. Tombstone Barricade. Right, listen. We had the Adobe Barricade come out earlier this year. that was nice. You know, first skin to be accepted in 6 years. It tanked. It tanked. It was actually lower than this just a few days back. So, the point I'm trying to get across is, what are you even using concrete barricades for? Well, there you go. You don't know. So, yeah, why would you want a skin for it? Oh, just because. Just because why? Now, yes, some of these got quite expensive when we didn't see a skin being accepted for a very long time. Then we got a skin accepted. Then everybody realised, I don't care for these anymore. And they went back down in price again. So, Tombstone Barricade. Look, you could probably dish these all around your base during Halloween, and you probably would like that. You could just set one up randomly and pretend someone died where you're standing in the middle of the server and pretend it's a gravestone and whatnot. Okay, fair enough, that's nice, but I'm looking at that and I'm like, look, I don't think it's going to retain its value. I'm sorry, but like, what usages do we currently have for these? I know there's a bit of a tactic to cover your tugboats in them. Fair enough, but that never really got anywhere, unfortunately. There were some people making tugboat-themed concrete barricade skins, but still it never went anywhere, unfortunately. So, unfortunately, Tombstone Barricade, I am not super convinced. I have to be cautious around you, and I might only be bidding low. Because of course it's also Halloween themed, but that might give it enough of a gimmick where people probably care a little bit more about it. We'll leave it for now. Coffin wooden door, very cool looking skin, very nice, very cool looking glow in the dark. Unfortunately, wooden door. Now, you do utilise wooden doors very early on in your base building, but once you're past the phase in which, finally I got a sheet metal door made, you're very likely not going to be using that wooden door anymore, are you? No. So, unfortunately, when you take a look at all of these wooden doors that come out this year, what do you see? All of them in the negative. What about all the ones that came out last year? Oh no, yeah. Now you might sit and say, but poor man's cupboard door. I'm pretty sure that's getting manipulated, so don't care about that one too much. Yep. What about the year before that? Yep. What about the year before that? Yep. Well, Big Dreams door. Actually, no, technically I'm meant to be looking here, but yeah. You can see, like, 9 out of 10 wooden door skins are in the negative, alright? So yes, whilst this might look very nice and very cool, but you know what? That also looked very nice and very cool. And you know what? That also looked nice and very cool. And they still went down in price. They had very nice cool glow in the dark. Nope. So, yeah. You can sit there and say, I like it. And by all means, if you like it, buy it, use it, enjoy it, support the skin creators. But as an investor, looking at this with the financial perspective, I can't trust that. I'd rather just stick with doing a buy order. And very usefully, this is abnormal, so I don't have to rush into it. I can take my time. I'm going to leave it at that. But that's just wooden doors in general, I'm afraid. It's the fact that people only use them for such a short amount of time, and then after that, gone. So where's the justification to own a skin? And because of that, their skins suffer. Zombieland AR, made by Sean Mick. So, I had a question with my chat as we talked about the design of this and whatnot. I said, look, chat, do you think this stands out very nicely? Do you reckon you'd want to run around with this and whatnot? And they said no. They didn't like the face and whatnot. I can't have that only being the answer I hear. I have to hear what everybody else thinks. What do you think about this skin? It's very nice. It's very bright. It's very colourful. Bit goofy. You could sit there and say, oh, it's Halloween themed. And yes, considering it's called Zombieland, I can accept that. But if it was just called like Scary Face or something, I wouldn't sit there and say, oh yeah, that's clearly a Halloween skin. So maybe it might hold up quite nicely. And then, look at all of the other AK47 skins that we've seen over the past couple years. How many have had a face that stares at your very soul like that? Not many. So, it's questionable. I do remember someone saying, Hedge, it's a hyper beast, but it's just very awkward. It's just very awkward because, again, AK47, and we've already talked about that with the likes of that skin there. I don't think it's going to be retaining its value by default. It's going to drop down in price by November time. How low will it go? I don't know. How high could it go around post-Christmas time? I also don't know. So it's very unfortunate. I don't think this is going to be a 70 cent to 90 cent buy order. Maybe a little bit higher. But I do still expect it to go down in price fairly sharply. Mainly due to the fact that it's just far too many AKs. However, this hasn't sold that much. In fact, this has sold even more, 50% more. And I'll be honest with you, this kind of does have a bit more of an interesting design. This also is selling at a higher price, so maybe that's half the reason why this is sold less compared to this. We shall see. But anyway, in regards to that, looking at that, I'm just going to stick with doing a buy order. Yeah, playing it safe. So that's my answer to that. I scroll down a little bit more. I see the Ghost Halloween MP5, a continuation of the Ghost Halloween collection from what you can see right here. Very nice, very cool. Now, these two skins have actually held up quite nicely. At the moment, not right now, but they were doing better over the course of the past couple of years. If you look at them during the year, for example, so right now this is currently selling for $1.19. You can see that, yeah, it's actually peaked up quite nicely, especially last year. But it only kind of retained its value during post-Christmas last year. And then you take a look at the likes of the SAR. Right now, you can see that, yeah, last year, it did peak up very nicely. It did have a very nice post-Christmas. I think that might have been manipulated, to be honest. But anyway. That's currently selling at $1.65. What could you... Go away. What could you think of when you look at the likes of the MP5? Do you reckon it's going to probably do the exact same sort of thing? I don't know. And we did have a big fuss about MP5s not too long ago. We were talking about how they were buffed. And yes, they were buffed. They do more damage compared to like a month and a half ago. But even then, the skins just never really went up in price that much. There was a bit of a hype initially. And then after that, it all went back down again. So the only skins that kind of got bought out quite a fair bit were Blackout and Redemption. And of course, as time went on, you know, we also had the likes of this. Actually, no. This came out before the update, but because it's still fairly relatively new, it's still kind of like suffering. But yeah, this has done a little bit fair bit better now. Maybe it's a case of when we see loads of people return to play the game in December, maybe they'll acknowledge that the MP5's doing a fair bit better now. Maybe they might consider it to be a much more meta gun. Higher on the totem pole. Do you know how for the beginning of every single month, Facepunch puts out some statistics based on what they see on the official servers, and the top 5 weapons that are being used at the moment is like AK, SAR, Thompson, then it's MP5, then it's double barrel shotgun. So MP5 still do see quite a lot of usage, but a lot of people don't seem super satisfied compared to what they used to be like. I'm talking before June 2022, so maybe we'll get a much better response around post-Christmas time. Anyway, that MP5, by default, I'm not super confident in it. 70 cent to 90 cent buy order. It's awkward, but again, financial perspective. All right. Gore SAR. What the hell? Look at that. Oh, God. Look at that. So that stands out pretty ugly. All intended, by the way. Congratulations to Jimmy Tedeschi and Allfoot. I believe that's their first ever skins to be accepted. This is a very awkward, scary, goofy, hideous looking skin. Will that hold up? Will people look at that and think, yeah, I want this? Or will it look at you and think, I want you? By default, how have SARs held up over the past year? Not good. By default, I'm looking at that and thinking, yeah, I'm probably going to do a buy order and stick with that. It's very likely going to reach a fairly low point at some point in November. But, after that, how high will it go with post-Christmas time? Can't confidently sit here and say yes or no in regards to whether it'll go above its restore price again. But I think it'll get fairly close. And also consider very low sales. Maybe there's just not that much interest in it. It's a little bit awkward, isn't it? But yeah, that probably might be a buy order around $1, because I can see some interest in it. We'll talk more about it on Wednesday. It's not abnormal, unfortunately, but we'll leave it to Wednesday to get a good talk in regards to what prices we might want to offer for it. Do we want to stick with doing like a safe price or be a little bit more aggressive? Let's leave it till Wednesday. Right. Pumpkin Roadsign gloves. Now, we should point out, this is actually a collection skin. If you can remember last year for Halloween 2022, we did have Pumpkin Tier 2 armor. Now, this appearing did not cause this to really spike in demand, spike in price that much. And that's based on the knowledge that people care about wanting to have a full collection, all the core pieces and whatnot. It's nice to see that this was accepted, but we know by default we're not going to see another Pumpkin armor skin until next year, at least. All right? And, is it going to be hoodie and pants? Is it going to be tier 3 armor? We don't know, but this is a fair bit awkward for it now, because we know we're not going to have another continuation for a very long time. What's going to happen to this? by default, I'm not super confident. I'm not super confident in this, at least during the year. But in the lead up to Halloween, I think it could do quite all right. And then in a lead up to Halloween, where we see all the submissions next year, maybe we do see Pumpkin Tier 3 or Hoodie and Pants being made. And then we feel a little bit more confident, because when a new core piece appears, by default, doesn't matter. If a new core piece appears and is a pre-existing core piece, much like what we saw the likes of Kraken Shell last week, the previous skin that already came out, the previous core pieces will spike in demand, spike in price. Unfortunately, all of that's going down in price now. Awkward. Very, very awkward. So yeah, if you're going to look at the likes of those gloves, I'm going to sit here and say I'm going to be sticking with a buy order, and I'm probably not going to go super crazy. But I could see this retaining its value. This is the only orange pair of Roadsign gloves that we've got. Does that matter to you? Probably not. But by default, Roadsign gloves tend to just kind of like stick around their rust or price. Even when they're doing pretty bad, they're just going to stick around their rust or price. Now, the only ones that tend to suffer a fair bit are the ones that usually sell in excessive amounts, or they're very out of season based on their gimmick, their holiday gimmick. Remember Easter, you can see right there. These, well, they are Halloween themed. I can't speak anymore, sorry. They are Halloween themed, so yeah, it might end up like Easter Roadsign. I'll have to think of it a fair bit more. But the amount of sales that this has had so far, it's very low. It's probably going to only reach about 7,000 sales, exactly like that. So yeah, it might end up like that. So yeah, I'm having second thoughts now. Yeah, all right, okay. We'll leave it till Wednesday, but yeah, it probably won't be going above its rust or price for a long time, at least a year. So we'll leave it at that for now. That's nice, but probably sticking with a bow order. And then we have the pumpkin bow, which is very weird because we literally just had a bow last week. But then again, I could say that for many things that you see right here all in front of you. Anyway. So basically, this is another glow-in-the-dark weapon. We literally had one last week with the SAR. That's immediately gone down by 40%, negative 40%, I should say. So yeah, this is a $2.49 skin. It glows in the dark. Loads of people immediately sit there and say, Hedge, pay to lose, pay to lose. I know, I hear you. Shut up, shut up. Listen, I know people don't like that. I can instantly see they're struggling. But very, very, very low sales. I'm going to stick with doing probably a lower buy order, but remember, very low sales can lead to manipulation at some point in the future, and that did happen quite a lot last year for Halloween Week 2. Not too long ago, we were making a big fuss about a certain skin that came out during the second week for Halloween last year. Where is that? Over here. We were talking about the crossbow. Do you remember this? The crossbow didn't really sell a crazy amount, did it? And if you look at its sales history, you can really see it. For some strange reason, this was manipulated, and like 800 of them were thrown onto D-Market, the third-party site. So you can see here, it just randomly climbs, goes above $15 at one point, and then suddenly 800 listings put onto D-Market, and then it dramatically drops in price because the manipulators aren't boosting it up anymore. So yes, people looked at that, saw the very low sales and thought, yeah, we can manipulate that, and that's what they did. So back over to here, with the likes of that bow skin, with only 2,600 sales so far, do you reckon that might be a candidate for manipulation at some point over the course of the next year? I wouldn't rule it out. So that's another thing to keep an eye out for. It's a pumpkin collection skin, really. It's all by itself, so what's going on there? I don't know. Right, so we've got through all of the skins. There was a lot of them. I'm very sorry if this was a fair bit slow. Right, let's start talking about things to look forward to over the course of the next few weeks. So, I did point out something a little bit earlier. Here you go. Williams got a Twitch drop right there. If you aren't fully aware, during December 11th to the 15th, we are going to have another Twitch Rivals event. It's for Rust's 10th anniversary, if you aren't fully aware. Rust first appeared on Steam in early access in December 2013. And if you go look back at some of the videos that came out showcasing it all the way back then, it looks like a completely different game. It's progressed somewhat nicely over the course of the past 10 years. And yeah, we're going to have a nice special event exactly like the summer event, which means you should expect about 20 plus Twitch drops. So quite conveniently, I did have a video over here, if we can just quickly look at that, talking about are Twitch drops impacting our Rust skins? Overall, yes. And is it always negative? No, sometimes it actually is a positive. But it's more a case of if that skin specifically has come out recently and then another skin after that came out in a Rust store, watch the video, you'll get a good understanding about all of that. But yeah, whilst we will see about 20-ish skins being given away, it just so happens to happen during December. And if you aren't fully aware, usually for December we will have 2 Christmas Rust stores, won't we? And it has to usually happen before the actual Christmas. So basically what I'm saying is December 14th and December 21st are going to be Christmas Rust stores. On December 14th, that is when the Christmas update is implemented into Rust. You know how we have the Halloween content in Rust at the moment and they had to implement it this past Monday? Well, on the 14th of December, you're going to see it implemented. So I think everything's kind of lining up very nicely in which during the time of the Twitch Rivals event, people are going to get hyped up. People are going to get invested and want to jump back into Rust again. They are going to hop into Rust during that when Christmas has appeared and whatnot. So with the likes of many of our Christmas skins, right, we are going to see them rise up in price ever so nicely. So this would happen by default regardless during November time. So if I were to show you a skin that's been around for a fairly long time, Christmas Furnace, yeah, this one's always a good one. You'll see how it has a very good push during every single November. But where does it usually peak in price? That's another thing. So here we are, a good few years ago, November time, it just goes whoop. See that? Whoop. Peaks around the first week of December. 2 years ago, as you can see here, this right here is November, and it goes whoop, and then December whoop, and then last year, as you can see right here, November hits whoop, December whoop. So December will peak, but November is where a lot of traction takes place. Right now, the skin's just getting ready for its final push, and it probably will be eclipsing last year's peak. And that's another question. When do Christmas skins usually peak? Well, it seems to be fairly varied, as you can see here. First week, second week. I'm under the impression you're going to see a lot of Christmas skins peaking over the course of the first 2 weeks. But with the big event going on right here, I think it might push most Christmas skins to peak some point around during 2 weeks in. So if you are, abundant with quantities of Christmas skins, I mean, you could sell just immediately during the beginning of December. Remember, don't sell tons of them immediately. I'm sure you understand all that. Don't cause quantity wars and resistance to build up. But do be aware, when this event's going on, it's going to have a lot of people watching. It's going to have big streamers playing in it. And like I said, I get the feeling a lot of people are going to get in the mood to play Rust all over again. And with the Christmas update rolling out, loads of people are going to jump in, enjoy the goofy Christmas stuff, and, well, they're going to buy a whole bunch of Christmas skins. And not only that, because with the appearance of the Christmas update, we're going to see gingerbread building skin being introduced, and those gingerbread skins are going to go up in price ever so nicely. More specifically, when people see that gingerbread building skin right in front of them, oh yeah. So if you happen to have gingerbread skins, which by default are Christmas themed skins, you might want to hold on to them until the middle of December, alright? So, I will point this out. A lot of Christmas skins are still going to be rising up in price ever so nicely. If you have only just sold a bunch of skins and you got money now, it still couldn't hurt if you jumped in and bought some skins. You could still jump in now, is what I'm saying. And you could still flip them and get some decent profits out of them. Yes, 100%. But just don't buy tons of them. Maybe at max buy 10 of each. Diversify, If one thing screws up, you have many others that might succeed greatly. But overall, with a diverse batch of skins, you're going to make some very nice profits. And you could do it all over again for next year. Yeah. But yeah, gingerbread is definitely one to keep an eye out for. But there's a lot of context in regards to why you want to wait it a fair bit until you start selling them. Yes, it will very likely go up in price around December time, but it's when that second week hits. It's when the actual Christmas update comes out. When the gingerbread building skin is freely made available to everyone. That is where I think we're going to see the likes of all of these go up in price ever so nicely. So yeah, very cool, very nice. And then there's another thing I should start talking about. Because more specifically, with next week, the November update, we're going to see some interesting content being introduced. The base Decor DLC. If we quickly hop over to here. Yep. So, we're getting a lot of very nice homely additions, very nice features and gadgets, I guess you could say. So, yeah, we're going to be able to cut up some heads and stick them on our walls. We're going to have the likes of a rocking chair, a barrel storage, a very silly, goofy door, and various other little small things like planters and whatnot. But more specifically, right there is a torch holder. And I do get the feeling our only marketable torch skin, that being the deer torch, will be rising up in price ever so nicely. Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. Now, it already has, because this being a Halloween themed skin, it reappeared for Halloween this year, and it went up in price because the price it's selling for before the items were reintroduced, well, this is selling at a much higher price in the Rust store, so basically everybody bought out all the cheap runs from the Steam market. You get the whole idea and whatnot. You can even see that right here. Look at that. Look. Oh, look, it's been reintroduced. Oh, look, it's more expensive in the Rust store. I'd rather buy it from the Steam market instead. Whoop, all of them got bought out. However, will it dramatically drop down in price after this? I don't think so. As I just pointed out over to here, this torch holder looks very nice, very cool. And yeah, you can put in a normal torch. You could put in the Hazmat DLC torch, you know the one I'm on about, the diver suit one. Or, do you reckon the design of the cultist deer torch right there might be a whole lot more appealing to people? And do you reckon that they're going to want to use that as a decoration? Now, I've heard from many people they don't like holding this. Apparently it's, too distracting or it takes up too much space. But on a wall, maybe opinions might be a fair bit different there. So, if you like what you see, and if you think that's lining up to be very interesting, it's a consideration. There's also another thing that we need to talk about, because you might notice, as I mentioned there, we have the barrel storages. Well, on the likes of Reddit, there were some people bringing up a very interesting point. Credit to Rapid Snipers from the Rust subreddit for the images that you're about to look at. As you can see here, with what you can fit in that tight space, with all of these storages, you can only get so many inventory slots, can't you? But with the barrel storages, yeah, because they stand upright and whatnot, you can fit a lot more in there, and you can gain a whole lot more. And you only get this in the base Decor DLC. That right there is with a TC there, and you're still getting a whole lot more. It's ridiculous. This is, technically speaking, pay to win. It gives you too much of an advantage. This might get nerfed, we shall see, but it's just madness, isn't it? And again, if you look in the description of this video right now, I'm always usually pointing out interesting details and upcoming things in regards to Rust and its skins and whatnot, because if those weapon barrels don't change, you're very likely going to see the likes of large boxes losing usage, and potentially the skins might lose value. So we'll see what happens in regards to that. But that barrel right there is a base Decor DLC thing, and base Decor DLC is coming out next week for the November update. That is the expectation. Do you know one thing we haven't talked about for quite some time? Frontier building skin. You know the Frontier wood building skin that we saw like about 6 weeks ago? There's been no mention about that for a long time. I'm not sure if that's coming out for next week. We shall see. But guys, remember, keep an eye on the face punch commits, or more specifically the Rust one. We've been seeing a few interesting details. Apparently, we're going to get a Santa mask as well. What is it? Santa mask. There he is, yes. So you know how we just had a Dracula mask? Maybe we're getting a Santa mask as well. Wouldn't surprise me if we get another item. So yeah, something to look forward to. And don't forget, tomorrow, Sunday, the Dracula mask is going to become marketable, right? So I will be streaming that. Again, look in the description of this video to get the links, more specifically my Twitch. But yeah, that's abnormal. But because it came out on Monday, that means it's going to come out on Sunday, midnight, for me. So that's UK time. And because the clocks have changed, it's going to be an hour earlier. So yeah, I will be streaming. We'll go through all of this. We'll talk about what prices we might want to offer for all of this and whatnot. You get the idea. You understand. So, yeah, that's it. We had a lot to talk about there, but there's a lot of skins. There's a lot of context to throw at you. How's the skins on the front page currently looking like? Now, as I said, the vast majority of skins have passed their lowest point. If you look right here at the Blackout Thompson, for example, it went down in price pretty sharply, but it stagnated around the beginning of October, and ever since then it started to pick up and rise back up in price again. Last year, the vast majority of Rust skins, they reached their lowest point at the end of October, but for this year, It was the beginning of October. So yes, now's the time where you start seeing skins rise up in price and things improving. I hope you enjoy November. It's going to be a whole lot better than September and October for sure. It's not going to be the best prices, but at least you're going to start noticing progress. The momentum is starting now, alright? So once November hits, everything starts moving. Christmas skins will be peaking in price just before post-Christmas, and then all the skins start peaking in price post-Christmas and, you know, January time. So I hope you'll look forward to it. I hope you've made some wise investments. Best of luck to all of you people. Best of luck to your investments and whatnot. Have a lovely Halloween. And yeah, we'll see what happens next. Catch you later. See you and goodbye.